His lips were on my neck before I could remember why I should stop him. My wedding ring was still on my finger when I reached for the hem of his shirt. His scent, God, his scent, dragged me back 10 years in a heartbeat. The air inside that downtown hotel room was heavy, thick with regret and lust, but neither of us said a word. His hands knew my body like a sacred map he never forgot. I moaned his name, Dylan, and somewhere deep inside me, a version of me I thought I buried, came back to life. While my husband, Mark, was tucking our children into bed and probably loading the dishwasher, I was arching my back beneath another man's touch. The man I once thought I would marry. The man I swore I would never see again. My eyes were closed when it started, but wide open by the time it was over. I had just committed the one thing I promised I would never do. And now, I would have to face the man who married me. Before I take you deeper into this story, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support fuels every story I tell. If you are new here or returning but have not yet subscribed, I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button right now. It truly is the energy that keeps this space alive. And do not forget, leave your thoughts in the comments as soon as the short hook ends. I read everything, and your feedback means everything. Now, let us get into it. My name is Ashley Monroe, and I live just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I am 38 years old. I work as a real estate agent, I have 2 beautiful children, and I am married to a man who loves me more than I sometimes love myself. His name is Mark, and he is everything stable, everything secure, everything safe. But then there is Dylan Carter. He was my first. My deepest. My storm. The man who could never offer me a life, but always offered me fire. We were 20 when it started. 27 when it ended. And now, at 38, I let him touch me again. It started with a message. One of those out of nowhere, stomach-flipping, past-knocking messages. Dylan had found me on Facebook. "Hey stranger," was all it said. Innocent. Casual. But nothing about it felt innocent to me. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. My fingers trembled as I typed, "Hey." Nothing more. But even that was too much. It turned into 3 days of messaging. Catching up. Laughing at old memories. Flirting, softly at first, then without breaks. He was in town on business, staying at a hotel near downtown. He asked to meet for a drink. I told Mark I had a showing that night, an open house that ran late. He kissed my cheek and said, "Be careful." And just like that, I was free. When I walked into the bar, Dylan stood up, taller and broader than I remembered. He wore that same grin, the kind that made you forget your morals and remember your desires. We had one drink. Then another. We talked. We laughed. And when I stood up to leave, he grabbed my wrist and whispered, "Come upstairs with me." I did not answer. I just followed. The elevator ride was silent, but my heartbeat was chaos. My stomach flipped. My skin was hot. I hated myself already, but I needed to feel something more than just routine. The moment the door clicked shut behind us, he kissed me. Hard. Deep. I should have stopped him, but instead, I gasped for more. We stumbled backward, shedding clothes like lies. His hands moved across my body with a confidence no one else ever had. My ring clinked against the headboard, and for a split second, I remembered Mark's eyes. Then Dylan pulled my leg around his waist and I forgot again. We made love like people trying to erase the years, like 2 firestorms colliding in the dark. I moaned. I whimpered. I lost myself in the taste of him. But somewhere in the middle of it, something changed. I opened my eyes and saw his face. But I heard my husband's voice. When it was over, I rolled away and stared at the ceiling. Dylan lit a cigarette and offered me one. I shook my head. My body was satisfied, but my soul was shredded. "I should go," I whispered. He nodded. No protests. No confessions. Just the same casual danger he always wore. The drive home was a blur. I parked 2 blocks away from the house, just in case. When I walked through the door, the house was quiet. Mark had fallen asleep on the couch with the television still on. His glasses rested on the coffee table, and an empty wine glass sat beside them. I stood there watching him, this man who trusted me blindly. The man who gave me his name, his children, his heart. And I had just torn it apart with my own hands. I crept upstairs, showered in silence, and crawled into bed beside him. As I lay there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above me, a single thought echoed in my chest. What have I done? When I opened my eyes the next morning, the sunlight poured across our bedroom like nothing had happened. Like I had not just burned the vows I took with one reckless night. Mark was already awake. He was in the kitchen, humming some country song under his breath, flipping pancakes like a man proud of being a husband and father. And that nearly broke me. I sat up in bed and stared at the spot beside me. It still smelled like his cologne, clean, familiar, trustworthy. I could hear our youngest laughing at some cartoon from the living room, and our daughter arguing with Alexa to play Taylor Swift again. Life was still moving. But I was stuck. Stuck inside a version of myself I did not recognize. I walked into the kitchen, forcing a smile that tasted like regret. "Good morning, babe," Mark said as he handed me coffee. "How did the showing go last night?" My heart skipped. That word, showing, was a loaded gun now. I nodded, swallowing hard. It went well. The couple really liked the space. He kissed my forehead. "You are amazing. I do not know how you do it all." I wanted to scream. How could he love me this much? How could he still look at me like I was the best thing that ever happened to him when I knew I had just shattered his world behind his back? But I said nothing. I sat at the kitchen island, watching him make breakfast for our family, and hated myself more with every passing second. For the next few days, I tried to bury it. To act normal. To slide back into the rhythm of wife, mom, realtor. But nothing felt normal anymore. The smell of Mark's skin made me flinch with guilt. His hands on my waist felt too soft, too undeserving. Every sweet gesture, him folding laundry, grabbing my favorite chocolate from the store, rubbing my feet after a long day, felt like a punch to the gut. I had committed the sin. But Mark was the one suffering without even knowing why. I could not even look him in the eyes for more than a few seconds. And then Dylan texted. It had been a week. I had tried to forget it. Tried to box it up in the back of my mind and never speak of it again. But there it was. "Dylan, been thinking about you. You free Friday night?" I stared at the message so long, my phone dimmed and locked. My breath caught in my throat. I knew I should have blocked him. I should have deleted everything and gone on pretending it never happened. But part of me wanted to feel that chaos again. No. No, Ashley. One mistake was enough. You cannot keep spiraling. I put the phone down. But I did not delete the message. That Friday night, Mark surprised me. "I booked a babysitter," he said with that hopeful smile. "I want to take you out. Just the 2 of us. We need this." And I froze. This man, this incredible, loyal man, was trying to reignite a spark while I was dodging text messages from a man who would burn my life to the ground again. I nodded. That sounds great. But inside, I was drowning. Dinner was beautiful. Mark took me to the restaurant where we had our second date. He ordered my favorite wine. He laughed like nothing was wrong. And for a moment, I almost fooled myself into thinking I was happy. That I had not broken the foundation of our marriage just 7 nights ago. But then, his hand reached across the table and held mine. And I panicked. I pulled away, too quickly. He looked at me, eyebrows raised. "Are you okay?" I blinked, forcing a smile. "Yeah. Just I am tired. He studied me. Not just with concern, but with suspicion. And I knew it. Mark had always been intuitive. Too intuitive. He could smell when something was off. His eyes narrowed slightly. Is there something you are not telling me? My stomach turned to ice. I took a slow sip of wine and shook my head. No. Nothing. He did not believe me. I could see it. The wheels were already turning. I could feel his love transforming into doubt, quiet and creeping. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, he came to bed in silence. No soft touches. No, I love you. Just a thick silence between us. I could not breathe. I got up and sat on the bathroom floor, shaking. This was how it started, I thought. The beginning of the unraveling. You do something you think you can manage. One mistake. One night. But it grows like a virus. It poisons everything good, every kiss, every smile, every night you come home late. It never stays a secret. Not really. Mark was not stupid. And I was not strong. The next day, we had a dinner party with two of our couple friends, Emma and Jordan. We grilled in the backyard. Kids ran through sprinklers. Laughter filled the air. From the outside, we looked perfect. But inside, I was cracking. Mark had not touched me since the night at the restaurant. Not even his usual goodnight kiss. He was quiet, thoughtful, distant. And I knew he was digging. Watching. Waiting. At one point, he caught me checking my phone under the table. His eyes locked on mine. I quickly turned the screen over. He said nothing. But that silence said everything. Then came the moment I feared. The dishes were done. The kids were upstairs. Emma and Jordan had left. I was loading the dishwasher when Mark leaned against the counter and said, "So, who is Dylan?" I dropped the plate. It shattered against the tile like a gunshot. My hands froze. My breath disappeared. I saw the message, he continued. His voice was calm, but deadly quiet. I did not read everything. Just the name. That was enough. I turned around slowly, trembling. Mark. Do not lie to me, he said. His eyes were glassy. Please, Ashley. Do not make this worse. I looked at the man I married. The man who had built a life with me. And all I could see was pain. I made a mistake. He closed his eyes. Then turned and walked out of the kitchen. He did not slam the door. He did not yell. He just left the room. And that silence was worse than any rage. I stood there alone, surrounded by the echo of my own betrayal, and knew. The lie was over. The truth was here. And nothing would ever be the same again. I sat at the edge of our bed for what felt like hours. The house was quiet, but it was the kind of silence that vibrates. Heavy. Punishing. Mark had gone into the guest room, closed the door, and never looked back. No yelling. No questions. Just quiet rejection. And that hurt more than anything he could have screamed. I wanted him to rage. I wanted him to throw something, cry, shake me, demand answers. I could have handled that. But the cold, detached calm? That meant he was done, at least emotionally. And I did not know how to fix that. I stared at the doorway, praying he would come back. He never did. The next morning, he avoided eye contact. He got the kids ready for school and drove them himself. He told me not to worry about dinner that night. He would be working late. But I knew better. That was code. Code 4, I cannot look at you without seeing what you did. I sat at the dining table with my hands clasped so tightly my knuckles went white. I thought about the wedding photo hanging in our hallway, how happy we looked, how bright my smile was. And I thought about what I did to that girl in the photo. The woman who wore white and promised forever. She was gone. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was Dylan. Dylan, you okay? I stared at it. This man, this selfish, smooth-talking man had no idea what kind of damage he had helped create. Or maybe he did, and just did not care. I typed. Me, Mark found out. He replied almost instantly. Dylan, do you want to talk about it? I typed. Then erased it. Typed again. Then deleted the whole conversation. And finally, I blocked his number. I needed to face this. I walked upstairs to the guest room where Mark had been sleeping. He was sitting on the bed, tying his shoes. He did not look up. Can we talk? I asked. Nothing. Please. He sighed. Talk. I sat across from him, my heart pounding so hard it felt like a scream inside my chest. I know there is nothing I can say that will undo it. I know that. Still nothing. Just the sound of his shoelaces tightening. It was one time, I whispered. It never meant to happen. It just did. His head shot up then, eyes like steel. Do not reduce it like that, he said. You did not trip and fall into bed with him. You chose it. You walked into it with your eyes wide open. You looked at me. You looked at our life. And you said, I want him more than this. I could not breathe. He stood up. Pacing now. I trusted you, he continued. I worshipped you, Ashley. I believed in us so blindly that I would have bet my life you would never do something like this. I hated myself the moment it happened, I said, voice cracking. Then why did you do it? He asked, finally looking me in the eyes. Why? I wiped tears from my face. Because I wanted to feel something. I wanted to feel young. Desired. Alive. And I know how selfish that sounds. I know it is disgusting. But the truth is, I missed that feeling. And I chased it in the worst way possible. Mark shook his head. His face was unreadable. What does that make me? He asked. Dead? Boring? Routine? No. I cried. It has nothing to do with you. Yes, it does, he cut in. It has everything to do with me. I am the one you chose to betray. I am the one you lied to. I am the one who has to explain to our kids someday why their perfect home felt like it suddenly cracked open. Tears streamed down my face. I want to fix this. Can you? He asked. Can you fix it? Because I do not know if I can look at you and not see him. The words hit like a punch. He sat back down, elbows on his knees, rubbing his hands over his face. I loved you more than anything, he whispered. I still do. And that is the worst part. My breath caught. He still loved me. But he did not trust me. That night, we did not speak much. We slept in separate rooms. Our kids knew something was off. They were quieter at dinner. My daughter asked why Daddy looked so sad. I said he was tired. It was the first of many lies I would never tell again. 3 days passed. Then 4. The silence between us became a living thing. It followed us from room to room, smothering every attempt at normalcy. But it was not anger anymore. It was grief. We were mourning the version of us that no longer existed. On the 5th day, Mark came home early. He asked me to sit down. He had a duffel bag in his hand. My heart dropped. He sat on the couch, facing me. I am going to stay at my brother's place for a while, he said. I swallowed hard. Are we? I do not know, he said honestly. I need space. Time. I cannot pretend everything is okay when it is not. I nodded, unable to speak. I am not saying this is the end, he added. But I need to figure out if I can forgive you. Not just for the night. But for every lie you told to cover it. I will wait, I said, my voice trembling. As long as it takes. He looked at me, finally, truly looked at me, and nodded once. Then he left. The door closed. And for the first time since that night with Dylan, I felt something real. Not passion. Not lust. Not adrenaline. Just heartbreak. In the weeks that followed, I focused on the kids. I cut every tie with Dylan. I deleted every message, every memory, every trace. I went to therapy. Alone. I confessed everything to my therapist, the emptiness, the craving, the guilt. I learned that sometimes, betrayal does not come from hate. It comes from emotional starvation. And while that does not excuse it, it helps explain it. Mark called once. Then again. We talked. Slowly. Carefully. Like people walking barefoot across glass. He asked hard questions. I gave honest answers. And somewhere in those broken conversations, a flicker of trust tried to rise from the ashes. One day, he came over with flowers. Not red roses. But white tulips. I asked why white. He said, because white means peace. And I am trying to find some. He stayed for dinner. Then he stayed the night. In my bed. But he did not touch me. He just held me. And in that silence, I finally understood what real love is. It is not the fire that burns through bedsheets and forbidden hotel rooms. It is the man who still shows up after the fire has scorched everything to the ground. It is the husband who chooses to heal instead of hate. And maybe, just maybe, it is the kind of love I can finally be worthy of.